people, welcome back to Football Therapy with me, your host Jan. Hope you're doing well, mate. Really do hope that. Welcome back to Chelsea news. There's lots to get into today, friends. De Laurentiis has spoken about Victor Osimhen potentially to Chelsea Football Club. Romano confirmed Chelsea would not be going in for Victor Gyökeres. Cole Palmer is a star boy. Wesley Fae sadness. And we can talk about the game, of course, tomorrow. So there's lots to get into. I want to thank you for joining me. Settle in, get comfortable, pour yourself a drink, mate. Why not? Join the Football Therapy fun by dropping a like on the video, and why not subscribe if you're into the content. If you dig it, man. Road to 200,000 subscribers, of course. Wow, incredible. Alright then, enough housework, let's get into the ruddy content. Starting off with star boy, young Cole Palmer, of course, he won Young Player of the Year at the London Football Awards, and of course, this makes total sense. Superb scenes! Chelsea did well actually at the London Football Awards, getting Young Player for both the men's and women's teams, and actually Lauren James, I believe, winning Best Player of the WSL, but again, yes, of course, she's incredible. You love to see it, there's pictures of Frank Lampard and Cole Palmer with the award together. Real warm fuzzies for a Chelsea fan, and Cole Palmer does make me laugh. Whenever he's being interviewed, he's always like, yeah, whatever. Like, this kid, he kind of either seems nervous or really like he just so like aloof and almost doesn't care. Either way, he's destined for incredible things, and I'm so excited Cole Palmer is a Chelsea player. He's going from strength to strength, everything's going incredibly well for him in terms of his individual performances. Of course, Chelsea being where we are, he'll be frustrated with that. But he recently reiterated when interviewed that yes, he was sold the project of Chelsea. He saw the players that were getting, the long-term vision, and he was sold on that and still believes in that. And of course, although frustrated in terms of how the team's doing lately, he's very pleased with his own personal development, and we can all assume he's going to go from strength to strength. So very exciting and positive stuff indeed with Cole Palmer. From one of my star boys to another, let's talk about Wesley Fae. Rather frustratingly, it's been confirmed that he will probably not feature this season. I was really hoping we'd see him towards the end of the season after his injury. He's obviously training on grass again. I won't speak too long about this, guys, but if you know me, you know I friggin' love Wesley Fae. I think people are forgetting about him. Remember, this guy cost £69 million, and of course Leicester City wanted £85 million for him. So really, we got a good deal for this really high-ceiling player. People have forgotten, you know, Gary Lineker thinks they got a snip as well. He's a Leicester fan. He's like, yeah, he's a ridiculous player. People have forgotten about him. He and Levi Colwill are the future of our centre-back partnership. I'm very excited about that. And I hope Chelsea are planning long-term for Wesley Fae because he's such an incredible and unique talent that's not only an excellent defender, but also can affect how you play forwards. And he loves Chelsea. He's a Chelsea fan. I want more of these players at Chelsea. I really hope it works out properly for him. Obviously, he's very young still. Even if we don't see him at the end of the season, I want him to have a really good pre-season and be a staple for Chelsea in terms of our future. Alright then, we're going to move on, and before we preview the game against Brentford, of course the West London derby, we're going to talk about centre forwards. That's right, a bit of striker talk. It's the tale of two victors, ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to strikers today. I want to cite the fact how Fabrizio Romano replied to a Twitter account that he confirmed a month ago Chelsea are not considering signing Victor Gyökeres, and then maybe Arsenal will sign him. Of course, this is a huge talking point. He's long been linked with Chelsea in the mainstream media. Of course, here on Chelsea News, we've spoken about the articles here as well, analysing the player a little bit. I did have reservations because he didn't really do that well at Coventry. Suddenly he's doing well in Liga NOS, but does that mean you want to spend loads and loads of money on him? I'm not so sure. I know many of you guys are fans of him, and yes, he's having a great season this season. But for me, it's not enough to just slam dunk loads of money on him and be like, be Chelsea starting number 9. Anyway, I did want to reference it because it's, you know, super transfer guru Fabrizio Romano saying, yeah, Chelsea are not in for this guy. So, who are Chelsea in for? Well, Nizar Kinsella's written an article on the Evening Standard about De Laurentiis at Napoli, his comments on Victor Osimhen, and indeed Chelsea. So let's hop in now and see what's being said. Napoli will demand the full £113 million release clause in any sale for Chelsea target Victor Osimhen this summer. Chelsea are searching for a new striker, and Osimhen is among the prime candidates being considered. Aurelio De Laurentiis, Napoli's president, admitted yesterday he, quote, cannot stop the Nigerian from leaving, but he is regarded as one of the toughest negotiators and will not accept even £1 million less than the full clause agreed in the contract signed in December. Chelsea will find it challenging to spend such a sum, especially if they fail to qualify for Europe for the second consecutive season, with a centre-back and left-back also being targeted. Interesting. A centre-back and a left-back. Well, for me, a centre-back would mean Thiago Silva, of course, is no longer with Chelsea, and probably we're still selling Trevoh Chalobah for pure profit on the books. You may agree with that, you may not, but a left-back's interesting. That, to me, would say we are going to try and sell Marc Cucurella, who, by the way, should be returning to the squad for this weekend, and I think Cucurella's got fans amongst the Chelsea squad, coaches, and indeed the fan base, though personally, I do think Cucurella is probably not the optimum player for Pochettino's side at Chelsea. Yes, Pochettino might not long be for the Chelsea manager's job, but generally I want dynamic fullbacks, not so much the Marc Cucurella types. Anyway, let's read on. The Premier League's profit and sustainability rules will force Chelsea to tread carefully, but claims they must sell £100 million worth of players by June the 30th to avoid PSR sanctions have been denied. This is despite registering a post-June the 30th loss of more than £200 million in the club's previous accounts from June to June of the 21-22 season, with allowable losses up to £105 million over a 3-year period to keep within the PSR rules. Player sales should be able to fulfill any shortfall to sign a striker, which of course is Chelsea's top priority after poor finishing yet again proved costly in the Carabao Cup final defeat. Yeah, I do think a sort of senior confident striker could help us out. By the way, I do think Nicholas Jackson's been a really useful player and I'm very, very happy for him to stay. The Senegalese forward is on 13, that's right, 1 free goal involvements this season, despite playing both wing and centre forwards. If he ends the season with 20 goals and assists across all competitions in his debut season for Chelsea, which has been a sort of chaotic, dysfunctional season, I think that's very good for a young player in Nico Jackson. I don't necessarily think he's our long-term first-choice striker, but who knows? Maybe he's a left winger, starting left winger moving forwards. He could be. PSG and Arsenal could compete for Osimhen's signature. Arsenal are weighing up a variety of attackers as they continue their title charge, but PSG seem fully committed to challenging Chelsea. The French giants see Osimhen as a replacement for Kylian Mbappe, who of course is joining Real Madrid. PSG wanted to keep Mbappe, but they will now save roughly around $200 million a year by getting him off their books. PSG have beaten Chelsea to several players in recent seasons, including Achraf Hakimi and Manuel Ugarte. I mean, maybe Ugarte we can feel frustrated about because he was a lot cheaper than Caicedo, but theoretically Caicedo's got a much higher ceiling, and Achraf Hakimi, man, I don't care about that in hindsight, because yes, Reece James, he looks like he's making a comeback sooner rather than later, which is great, but also, Malo Gusto for £20 million. That's like a third of the price of Achraf Hakimi, and he's younger. Meh, we don't care about Hakimi. Chelsea have alternative attacking targets, of course, with Brentford's Ivan Toney and Evan Ferguson, which still blows my mind. Former Blues midfielder Mikel John Obi, who knows Osimhen, is trying to convince the 25-year-old to join Chelsea to emulate his idol Didier Drogba. Quote, "I keep sending him text messages, calling him, and making sure he joins Chelsea," Mikel says. "I know he loves Chelsea, but other clubs want to sign him. Didier Drogba is also speaking to him, and we've been telling them why we love the club. It's a huge transfer fee, but it would be fantastic if we could get him. You saw in the Carabao Cup final, we lack someone who can finish and score goals, like Erling Haaland. I believe there will be talks at the end of the season. I hope he joins Chelsea." Woo! Mikel John Obi confirming that he and both King Didier Drogba are speaking to Victor Osimhen to try and convince him to join Chelsea. It's going to be the release clause, £112 million. I mean, that won't be our record signing. It will remain Moises Caicedo at £115 million. Look, I really like the idea of signing Victor Osimhen. I think he's got something quite Chelsea about him, and not because he's been pictured as a youngster wearing a Chelsea shirt and loves Drogba. I just think there is an element of Chelsea about him. Like, he's quite tough, he's mobile. Yeah, I feel like he'd be a good Premier League number 9. Now, there are better and more prolific forwards than him in European football, but I just feel like he's just in the right profile, 25 years old, and if you want a centre forward, like Nico Jackson isn't a centre forward. He can play centre forward pretty well actually, but he isn't like a properly bred number 9, like just a proper conventional striker, and Victor Osimhen is, and I feel like that would suit us. I don't think he's popped off massively this season, Osimhen. I think there's a few reasons for that, so I wouldn't worry too much, but at this point, if we sign him, he's a good player and probably could play very well. Again, I'm going to defer, and I don't know why I should defer and trust the powers that be at Chelsea because we've been so poor this season, but I'm going to really make myself vulnerable here and trust the scouts and sporting directors that they are qualified enough to look at this guy and say, he is what's going to make Chelsea better and move the club forwards. Because all I can say is, yeah, he's a big name. He's won the Scudetto. He's, an African legend. He's an icon at the moment. Bring him to Chelsea, but what do I know? Because I've seen big players come to Chelsea and fail. Anyway, let me know what you think. Comment down below, and let's move on and talk about this game against Brentford. That's right, so the aforementioned Ivan Toney will be, really, really wanting to take this opportunity to score against the club that's been linked with him. Brentford aren't in the best form. Ivan Toney scoring the odd goal and getting assist, but they will feel frustrated with recent performances and results, though they will absolutely still see an opportunity to defeat Chelsea. They'll look at our last FA Cup tie against Leeds, and when it was 2-2, there was a long period of time where it looked like Leeds were going to go on and get the winner. They'll fancy as a Premier League team that they'd be able to do that to Chelsea. So it's up to us to sort ourselves out a little bit more, settle a little bit more. It's a few more days away from that disappointment of the final. We've qualified to the next round of the FA Cup. Maybe that's a bit of a palate cleanser for these Chelsea players, and they can feel like, all right, we're removing ourselves from the disappointment. We're still in this competition. We're still a young team playing for each other. We can still do good things. Good things this season. Pochettino has confirmed that, of course, Nkunku's out injured still. He's got I don't know what injury he's got. He's got a new injury. We know people like Reece James and Lavia won't feature. Thiago Silva's going to be touch and go. Cucurella might be in the squad, which is interesting. I wonder if he'll come off the bench to feature in this game. But other than that, it's similar vibes. He was asked about which goalkeeper will start. He says, I'm not going to tell you. God, oh God, I hope it's Petrovic who starts, so that's a good opportunity to show you the lineup that I've built for this game. Here it is, of course, the 4-2-3-1 / asymmetrical 4-3-3 of Pochettino's Chelsea. Petrovic in goal, yes please. Of course, I think both Chilwell and Gusto didn't play the full 90 against Leeds, so they should be good to start this game and play the full 90. We'll need dynamic fullbacks. I've been very disappointed, well not very, but quite disappointed with Ben Chilwell lately. When he plays well, he makes Chelsea so much better, and we've not been getting that from him lately. So hopefully he can start to perform a lot better like that, and be the captain on the pitch that he's supposed to be. So first choice fullbacks in that sense to play, and then I do see Levi Colwill and Disasi starting. Though in the game, I would not be surprised at all if both Chalobah and Gilchrist features at some point in the back line in some position. Of course, both of them can play centre-back and full-back, so it'll be interesting to see if those guys come on. And indeed, the aforementioned Marc Cucurella, because he's useful and can play on both sides. So, suddenly options, right? A place we don't have options is in midfield, and you'd hope, of course, Gallagher came off the bench against Leeds to essentially win us that game. He will start, and therefore we'll have to start the first choice £200 million men in Moises Caicedo and Enzo Fernandez. Though they've been criticised a lot lately, they both did register an assist, of course, in the FA Cup tie against Leeds, so that's positive for them. And hopefully we can, play with those three. And there's not many options on the bench. Of course, Lavia's out, Ugochukwu is out. Cassidy should be able to come on and relieve one of them, maybe, I don't know, because Gallagher can go deeper in the pivot. Maybe, if one of Enzo or Caicedo get tired. And you could even put Trevoh Chalobah in central defensive midfield. He played a season at CDM in Ligue 1 when he was on loan. Tuchel, I believe, deployed him there in a game or two, so he can do it in a pinch if you want to, just defend. The front three is very, very interesting, of course. Nico Jackson, I think, will just start up front. Of course, Cole Palmer, man of the moment, will start right wing, though I do think Madueke might come on off the bench to feature. And then left wing, who's it going to be? Mikhail Mudryk, Raheem Sterling? Well, I'm not entirely sure. I'm going to go for Mudryk because I'd sort of prefer to see him. I think there'll be opportunity to transition against Brentford, and that will suit him. And I don't know, I feel like if there's a chance we might try and alleviate ourselves of Sterling in the summer. And again, I'm not a hater of Sterling. I'm just a sort of realist and analyst of where we are and where he is at the moment. And, you know, the psychological as well as footballing profile of the player, I don't think he really suits. So you need to eventually try and get Mudryk up to speed, because when Mudryk plays on, you know, on confidence and with instinct, or on instinct with confidence, should I say, he's very, very good. So if we can squeeze it out of him more and more, you know, more minutes surely would help that. But it could, you know, Pochettino could turn to his senior man in Sterling and start him and, you know, bring Mudryk off the bench. There's 5 subs, there's plenty of opportunity for rotation. Right, that being said, it's going to be a tough game, though their form is not necessarily brilliant. Neither is ours, let's be honest. I am going to say a Chelsea win. Maybe even, I think, say a clean sheet with Petrovic back and goal. I still see us shipping one. I'm going to go confident here, and I'm going to say a 3-1 Chelsea win. And that'll be a great result. And actually, you know, say it quietly, but Chelsea's form since the end of last year isn't awful, you know. Like, we were winning games, I think, right at the end of December. Of course, we had that disappointing result to, was it Wolves this season? Anyway, I was looking at our results. You know, Borough over 2 legs, we did a really good job against them. You know, we 4-0 against Preston. We did a couple of 3-1s in a row. Away, of course, Palace, Aston Villa. Technically, the Liverpool game, the final, was a draw at 90 minutes. So it was a draw against Liverpool. I know we won't see it like that, but that's essentially what it is. And then, of course, we followed that disappointing final with another win against Leeds. So the performances aren't great. If you look at the form a little bit more as a whole, it's pretty good, actually, man. So anyway, I thought it was worth mentioning that. Anyway, I want to put out to you guys, comment down below your thoughts and feelings on the stories of today, as well as this match preview. Thank you for joining me. If you like the content, please do like and subscribe. And I hope to see you guys back here very soon. Alright, peace.